Alright, hello everyone. So I'm just going to be walking you through the assignment that we were supposed to do in class, but I was just going to be homework. It's pretty self-guiding, but I'm going to do a follow-along video for most of it so that it's a little more similar to the in-class format. If you need any additional resources or help during this, I found that this resource might help. So this is creating routes in Express.js, which is very similar to what I have over here. Some things are slightly different. Like when you look at the Express MDN documentation, they use router and they use express.router. This is just Express and we use app. There is a slight difference in these two. I don't know if this talks about it. I guess it does. I don't use the router, I just do app. It's roughly the same result, especially from a beginner perspective. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is inside your website repository, create a new folder. Inside that folder, create your server.js file and paste in this code to make sure it works. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm just going to call this Express test. Going to make a new file, server.js. Going to open it up in VS Code. Cool. I'm going to open up the terminal. And I need to go into my folder. Right, so website, Express test, there we go. I need to do npm init -y. Cool, that looks good. Now I need to do npm install express. Okay. Now we're going to go into here, paste in this code. So this is the same template that we used for... Oh, let me add these semicolons. The same template that we used for the previous stuff. So I've already commented these types of templates. I believe it should be somewhere, but yeah, especially on the pre-lab when I was talking about the mini task that you had in the pre-lab. I believe I commented it there, so it should be accessible. So we have this. Let's make sure this works. Okay, we're listening on localhost. Let me open that up. Cool. Localhost 3000, so you should get hello world, welcome to Node.js, and that's the message that's specified here. So you have your root route, and we're going into the result, or sorry, and then we're sending hello world, welcome to Node.js. Sorry, response, not result. Yeah, request, response. So this is our response. We're sending it back to the user, and it gets displayed right here. So if we look here, this is our index. Simple as that. So so make sure that you run npm init -y and npm install express inside of the folder, or else your server will not run. Also make sure that when you're running the node commands that, of course, you're in the folder. Yeah, so loading localhost 3000 will get you this message. One thing that I want you to do is in the Canvas comments, once you do your submission, I want you to change the root message, that's what the slash is, without restarting the server. What happens, what do you need to do to change the message? So we went over this as part of the pre-lab, but I wanted to restate it because it's really important, because I feel like people will forget to do this. It's a similar thing to forgetting to save your JavaScript files and your HTML files inside of VS Code. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go on to step one. So we have our very basic route. We have our get request for the root, and then we have our app listens. This is what runs the server. Now what we're going to do is add in a route that keeps track of the number of visits. So I'm just going to read this out. So let's add a route that keeps track of the number of visits. Note, get requests generally shouldn't include any data modification. We are only using GET requests today because they are much easier to work with than POST requests. What happens when we restart the server? So yeah, generally, you don't want to modify any data with GET requests. There's no hard limitation saying, oh no, you cannot modify data. It's just one of those general practice things where the definition of a GET request kind of implies that you should not be modifying any data. So generally a POST request would be better. However, it's not difficult to test out POST requests, but it's a lot harder than just testing out GET requests, because GET requests are just sending out information, whereas POST requests you have to use something called Postman or a similar thing, and it's just a way to test APIs. I can even pull it up, right? So you have your Postman, and we'll talk about this a little bit more next week as we actually get into POST requests. But I think this is a good time to introduce it. So you have here, right, and this is some testing I was doing. So you can send requests on here, and you can send some parameters, key value. But I'm going to go over this more next week. Don't worry about it. But for now, we're going to use the GET requests. Cool. So let's pop this in. We're going to just do it above the port, right? And I actually want all of the variables to be on top. And I'll just say includes global variables. So what this does is it's a GET function that returns the number of visits for this node session. I'll talk about this more in a second. This is where one of the follow-up questions occurs. So what does this do? So we have at the visits, right, route, we want to increase our counter variable by 1. And then we're doing this text formatting thing. So we're sending a response that says there have been counter visits to the session. So let me just talk about this formatting, because I don't think I've mentioned it. So what is this? $, curly bracket, counters. Whoa, what is this? This is from the text formatting JavaScript pre-lab. So this is the week 4 pre-lab. What you do is, right, when you have a text, piece of text, you can do there have been, counter, right, visits. You can do this, right, but this doesn't work. What you have to do instead is turn it into text. So instead of having these, double quotes, you instead put in, I believe it's the tilde, right? It's to the left of your 1, right? So it's, if you do shift, right, I think that's the tilde, and then this is the, what is it called? I forget what it's called. No, it's not the tilde. I don't know what key it is. I actually don't remember. I feel like I should know. Whatever. It's the same thing as the tilde, right? It's this one. It looks like a, almost like an apostrophe, like the cousin of the apostrophe, the italicized. So what you do in here is you have this, right? And then to add in a variable, you do the $, curly brackets. You pop in your variable, and boom. Now you have a variable inside of the text. And this is just a different way to organize text, and it's very commonly used for Node.js and doing all these API requests. And again, if you want to read more into it, it's part of the text formatting JavaScript pre-lab that you did. Maybe you even have some notes on it. So what we're doing is we're sending the result to the client, saying, or response, sorry, there have been, and then counter amount of visits to this session. Cool, let's try it out. All right, we're listening. We go here, our route still works. Let's go to /visits. We can see there have been 1 visits to this. Obviously the grammar is wrong, but you can see as I refresh the page, right, we're going, oh shoot, I moved me, wee, there I go. As you can see, my visits are increasing. I can really spam it, right, and it goes up, right, so we're going 40, 50, right, so really cool. Every time we refresh, it goes up. One interesting behavior that happens though, so let's go with this document. What happens when we restart the server? Let's take a look. Let's restart the server. Right, we were here, we were at 63 visits. Let's restart, and we're back to 1. Why does this happen? So anytime you restart the server, all variables get reset to whatever's in the code. So while the server's running, you can modify, you know, our counter, you can modify any variables, especially like global ones. But once you restart the server, everything goes back to what was originally written in your server code. So that's just, you know, one thing to consider when you're writing your code, is that, you know, if you're modifying anything in the server, you restart it, then that stuff is going to get lost. So if you need to keep track of like usernames and passwords or something like that within your server, you're probably going to have to store it outside of the server. A couple solutions for this is you can store it in like a JSON file, like a physical file, instead of storing it as like a variable inside of your server. Just as long as you have it somewhere outside of this code, you're going to be able to store stuff that needs to be like maintained even like between like restarts of a server. Cool. So we have that. So we're done with this. So now this is like where the assignment part comes in. I'm going to walk through like half of it, and then the other half I will, you know, leave for you to do. Okay. So what we're going to do is rock, paper, scissors. So we have the rules of rock, paper, scissors, and I've gone ahead and I've numbered, right, rock, paper, and scissors. So rock is 1, paper is 2, and scissors is 3. So these are going to be like, you know, integer values. Paper covers rock, scissors cuts paper, rock smashes scissors. So what we're going to do is we're going to define 3 routes. Right, so this is our rock, paper, scissors game. Each route, let me think. Each round is the, or each route is the option the user selects, right? And then the bot, I'll call it, you know, the bot will randomly select one of 3 options. So 1 for rock, 2 for paper, 3 for scissors. Cool. So we have these routes. Let me do this. Okay. This is if the user picks rock. I'm gonna copy this. The user picks paper. And finally, if the user picks scissors. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of rock, and then it's going to be your job to finish paper and scissors. So for rock, we're going to generate a random number between 1 and 3 and compare it to our number. So this is basically taken from the guessing game that we did. So let's put this in. Let's comment this. So what it does is it generates a random number, right, from 0 to 1. Or sorry, 0 to 1, yeah, and then it multiplies it by 3 and adds 1. Yeah, so, you know, if you get 1, so, you know, for example, if it generates 1, 1 becomes 3, right, you know, 0.9 becomes like 2.7, right, and so on and so forth, 0.5 becomes 1.5, right, because we're multiplying by 3. And then we're adding 1 because we're going to floor the value. So it's going to go, you know, if we get a value like, you know, 0.01, right, that becomes 0.03. We don't want that to round down because we've already defined 1 for rock, 2 for paper, 3 for scissors. If we did 0 for rock, 1 for paper, 2 for scissors, then we wouldn't have this plus 1. We would just floor the values. So this is what we have. So multiplies by 3 and adds 1. Then it floors the value. Value dropping the dropping everything but the integer. Right, or dropping everything to the right of the ones. Cool. And then this is basically printing out, right? So print out the choice of the bot. So this is great for troubleshooting. Okay. So we're on that. So now we need to add some logic and try it out. So I left this comment. What would the logic be for rock, paper, scissors if we pick rock? So once we have rock working, complete the steps for paper and scissors, we now have a functioning game. So I'm just going to do the first step of this, and I'll think about if I want to do the second. Okay, so we know that we are picking rock, right? So why don't I split screen this? Cool. So we know that rock beats... So we're picking rock, right? So we know that rock beats scissors. So if... so if the rand int is equal to 3, right, then we want to do... so usually we would do like a console.log, right? Right, for, console.log, I win, right? But we want the user to actually be able to see this without having to go to the console. So what we can do is we can do our response, right, .send. We can have our little, italicized apostrophes, right? And then, or actually no, we're not even putting anything in. So we can just do, regular quotes. We can say, bot picked scissors, you win. Cool, and that sends out the result. I'll do the second one. So else if rand int is equal to, I'll do the tie situation. So if I have rock. So if the bot picks rock as well, so if the bot picks 1, then I'm gonna send bot picked scissors, or bot picked rock, sorry. Try again. Cool. So let's try this. Let's go into our route. Let me restart. Cool. We go to /rock. Let's open up our console. Oh, sorry. It'll show up on this console, right? So we see it picked 1. It says bot picked rock. Try again, which is cool. So we went rock. They went rock. Try again. They went 1 again. Now they did 3. And let's double check. 3 is scissors. So bot picked scissors. You win. Let's see if we can get it to do 2. So we can see 2. It says bot picked scissors, you win, which is like, well, hold on, we don't want that to show up. Let's see if we can get back to 1. So try again. Let's see if we can get a 1 and then a 2. Yeah, so we can see if there's no response, it just stays like this, right? Because we haven't added the third condition, right? So we need a third condition. So yeah, so I'll leave it up to you to do the third condition, and then fill out paper, right? So let's do, oops. Fill out paper. Finally, fill out scissors. And that is it. So once you have that, you have your very basic functioning game using GET requests for Express.js. So you have a visits thing that counts how many visits you have. You have your home page, right? And then you have this rock paper scissors game, and it's just meant to kind of get some practice with doing these app.gets and then doing responses. Yeah, so good luck on that, and feel free to email or message me if you have any questions. Good luck.